So you guys are probably doing your summons, you're getting all these random heroes, some of them are epic, you get excited, others are legendary, you get really hyped, and on the super rare occasion, you find those mythical heroes. However, sometimes you might be overlooking some of these rare heroes you really need to keep an eye out for in Raid Shadow Legends, because these 5 heroes are actually really strong, and they're just rares. You can kind of get a little bit on the easier side comparing them to legendary heroes. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's talk about the top 5 rare champions to use in Raid Shadow Legends. Hold up, click the link down in the description right now to get your free annex as well as 1 epic hero as you level up. All you have to do is log out of your Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link down in the description and register with a brand new email. Launch Raid, complete the tutorial, and go to your inbox to claim your first champion. Here we go, you'll find annex right here as well as Mausoleum Mage as soon as you hit level 15. This is an amazing account start in Raid, so make sure you guys click the link and follow the steps. So first up at number 5, I'm gonna give my vote to the Hiles champion, Apothecary. Yeah, it's always weird that the rare champions have like very generic names, but some of their abilities are very, very good. And if you need a support hero on this team, especially one that's gonna boost your speed, this champion is absolutely amazing. So let's go over their skills, starting off with Scatterbolt. You just attack 3 times at random, which might not sound great, but you guys know there's certain bosses out there like Fire Golem and stuff that getting those extra hits, breaking down levels, layers of shield, it can be insanely helpful. While this is not a very impactful ability in most game modes, it's still there for the niche situations. Now, Soothing Chant is very, very good. It heals a single target ally by 35% HP. It can also crit, which is cool as you level it up. It, of course, has a lower cooldown, so you can do it basically every other turn. It has like a 2-turn cooldown, I guess every 3rd turn. But the heal can be very, very impactful, going up to like 50% and can even crit for almost a full health bar, which is very powerful. Now, while those both don't sound super amazing, it really comes down to the 3rd ability, Boon of Speed. Places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns and fills a turn meter of all allies 15%. That right there is pretty huge because, as you guys know, I preach it all the time, speed is key. You have to outspeed the enemy team. Otherwise, you're going to take a lot of damage before you even get to make a single action. Now, some game modes, not as important if we're talking about things like even early game PvP, even later game PvP. Speed is amazing. And last, it does have an ally defense in dungeons buff for team leader. Not exactly what we're looking for, but this champion can be very, very strong and is just, like I said, just a rare support hero. Very easy to come by compared to some of the heroes that we might talk about that are epic hard to come by and legendary even harder to come by. Use this champion. Do not use this champion as food. Now, in the same faction, High Elves, we have Prosecutor. I'll be honest, I love the way these champions look in general, but one thing I do want to mention here is the fact that this champion has a few keywords we really care about. Now, this is attack hero, not really there for the damage, but the abilities that her actual abilities do. Number 1, Sap Initiative. Attacks one enemy 2 times. First glance, doesn't sound amazing, but each hit has a 20% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. You can get a plus 10% if you get the skill to level 5 and be it as a rare champion. Very easy to get books to do that. Lowering the enemy's turn meter is very powerful, especially against certain bosses in this game. Very, very powerful. Beyond that, just like we talked about with the previous champion, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff on the enemies for 2 turns. And again, that's all enemies. That 50% chance goes up to what, 75%? Very powerful. Really, really good, especially since you get -1 cooldown. You can get a very high uptime on slowing the enemy team down. So if you're buffing your speed and then at the same time lowering the enemy speed, really awesome. And lastly, we have Prosecute. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Again, multi-layer hits can be very useful in certain dungeon bosses. Places a 50% increased accuracy buff on this champion, which is very important for placing this speed decrease for 2 turns before she even attacks. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff on the target for 2 turns. So not only are you like preventing that target from getting healed, you're also increasing the accuracy of this hero so that then she can go ahead and slow this enemy team down. Absolutely love this combo. 2 really, really powerful high elf champions Honestly, you could probably switch their positions between third and fourth depending on what your priority is on your team, but these two are absolutely amazing. If you guys have not caught a common theme with the first two rare heroes we've talked about, it's just going to continue with this champion right here, because this is Renegade from the right. Nice Revenant Support hero. As much as she kind of looks like she'd be more defense or something, she is a support hero, and you'll find a very common theme here. So Lingering Pain attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction. Again, that's something we just talked about with Prosecutor. You can increase that buff chance up to 50% total, so you can go 50% chance of just making it so they can't get a heal. Really strong. Moving over to Lash Out, attacks a random 3 times. Again, we know somewhere that's really good for these types of heroes. Has a 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns, and places a 25% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. Both of those are going to increase both the amount of times you get to attack the enemy before they do, and of course lowering the chance that buffs land on your team. Really strong and really powerful. Sacrificial Ritual, decrease the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. How is that not good? This skill does not affect this champion or other champions with this same ability, so if you have multiple of them, it's not going to overlap and do it for each other. Doesn't happen. This champion will receive damage equal to 30% of their max HP. This will happen even if this champion or this kills the champion. So 7 turn is a hefty turn meter, but it can be lowered down to 5. The fact that it's just going to lower cooldowns is amazing. Like, you do round 1, use all your big bursty abilities, you could technically just use this immediately, and some of those abilities might be off cooldown. Really awesome. You can even pair this hero with like a big AoE damage deal, like a Kale or something like that, for wiping out waves. You can do the big AoE damage, acid rains over and over. Really strong. And then of course this does have a leadership buff, all res in all battles by 40. Not as important, to be honest. I feel like the decreased speed, the heal reduction, and then the turn meter boosting, or not turn meter boosting, the skill cooldown boosting, absolutely amazing. This is probably a little bit harder of a champion to get than the first two, but very powerful. Now moving on to our number 2 champion for the rare heroes is Painkeeper. Yes, Kale's partner pretty much in the Dark Elves, a good pairing, having the same faction. We got some really cool and constant themes going through these first 3 heroes. It continues with this one. Unflagging Advance, attacks one enemy 2 times and fills this champion's turn meter by 10%. Not huge. It does mean that they get a chance to attack again sooner, but it's not like meta defining or anything like that. The next 2 are kind of more important. Number 1, Spectacular Sweep, attacks all enemies and then heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP. You'll notice it's an HP champion. Definitely want to go in for healing. It can go up to what, 5, 10, 20, 35% more, so up to, basically heals for 50% of this target's HP. That is a big AoE heal, and you can lower it down to 4 turns. Pretty dang good. Next up, we also have Combat Tactics, decreases the cooldowns of all ally skills. Again, similar ability, 7 turns. However, you can lower it down to 4. It's not 2 turns like you previously saw, but this is for all allies, including this champion. Finally, another leadership ability, all ally HP in faction crypts by 21. You'll notice a lot of these heroes in the rare faction, or rarity, they don't have the best leadership abilities, but that's not what they're there for. They're there to support your main heroes like Kale, like Alice, like Sun Wukong, like Supreme Gay. Like, they're there to make your team more well-rounded, and these are just easy champions to get. But next, we got the number 1 champion. Do you know who it is? Now, the last champion, and of course the number 1 champion, is Coldheart. This rare champion is probably undisputed like the best rare champion you can get. Again, another Dark Elves hero. Have you seen a constant theme with some of these? They got some, feels like they got some bias here and there about which champions are just the best in factions. So this champion is really powerful. Very powerful. MVP, best type hero for doing things like Doom Tower, dungeons, things like that. Ability straightforward. Flurry of Arrows. Attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 25% chance of placing a 100% healing reduction debuff. We know about that. We love that type of ability. Art of Pain, attacks all enemies 4 times. All enemies, big hits here. Has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff, and places a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns that are under the heal reduction. So you want to get this on first, then you want to put this on. And lastly, Heartseek, attacks one enemy, decreases the target's turn meter by 1 100%. Yes, it drains the, you know how like Geomancer, we like Geomancer, he has really cool abilities. This is just even better. Has a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit, damage increased according to the enemy's max HP. Absolutely insane. Enemy max HP plus completely taking away a turn meter. So long as you build this hero properly, get the speed correct for the boss you're going up against, this is just gonna be ridiculously powerful. So let me know who you guys use as far as the rare champions go. We all know like Gaelic's an okay hero, we know Kale's an okay hero, but they do fall off a little bit later on, whereas these champions can kind of be used for very specific purposes to help support your team, and in the last situation with Cold Heart, can actually do some really good damage too. So let me know what you guys think about the list. Do you guys think we should have added or changed anybody in the top 5? I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. I'll see you guys next time.